Welcome back to the deep dive. I am really thrilled you are joining us today because we are looking at a story that, well, it completely redefines the digital battleground.
It really does. It's a massive paradigm shift.
Yeah, because usually when we talk about, enterprise-grade cloud infrastructure or algorithmic search optimization, we're picturing Silicon Valley tech firms.
Right, or massive e-commerce giants fighting for national market share.
Exactly. We rarely associate those high-level concepts with, say, the local plumber or the neighborhood roofer down the street. But if you are listening to this, whether you manage a team, run your own operation, or you just want to understand the hidden mechanics of how digital visibility actually works in your own hometown, you really need to hear this.
Because we are moving so far beyond the traditional concept of a local business. Just setting up a basic template website, crossing their fingers, and hoping the phone rings.
Yeah, those days are gone. Our source material today is a really fascinating excerpt from a Day 3 blog post. It was published by a company called TEXSEON, and our mission for this deep dive is to unpack exactly how local tradesmen are actively using enterprise-grade technology to fight back against invading corporate giants.
We're going to look right under the hood of local search algorithms.
We are. We're going to show you what it actually takes to survive in a local map pack. Because the core premise laid out in the text is a classic David versus Goliath scenario, just, heavily digitized.
What's fascinating here is that this specific conflict isn't about the Goliath having better craftsmanship or superior customer service.
Right.
It is entirely an infrastructure war. They call it having digital armor.
Okay, so let's set the stage based on the source. In this scenario, the big guys are corporate franchises and multi-city service firms operating out of larger hubs in Texas, specifically places like Amarillo and Dumas.
Yeah, those are the Goliaths.
And what these large firms have been doing is systematically invading the smaller Pampa map pack.
And for anyone who usually focuses on standard organic SEO or national ad campaigns, let's establish exactly what this battleground is.
Yeah, good idea.
The map pack is that localized block of 3 business profiles that appears right at the top of a Google search. So when a user has local intent,
Like searching for emergency plumber near me.
exactly, and capturing one of those top 3 spots is often life or death for a local service business. It's this hyper-competitive microenvironment.
Right, and what Texion points out is that the massive out-of-town firms from Amarillo are absolutely dominating these top search results.
They are actively pushing the local Pampa tradesmen, the hometown businesses that have been operating there for decades, down into what the text calls the underdog zone.
And according to the source, the Amarillo firms aren't doing this organically. They have that digital armor you mentioned. They have the massive budgets to employ dedicated tech teams.
They're essentially using sheer technological superiority to overwhelm the local algorithms.
So the local Pampa shops just find themselves completely outgunned.
Right. The local shops are bringing a knife to a drone fight.
Yeah.
They're relying on legacy digital setups, while the multi-city franchises are deploying optimized, enterprise-level digital infrastructure.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because Texion identifies the precise technical root of why these local businesses are losing. They call it the Goliath Trap.
The Goliath Trap, yes.
The local Pampa Davids aren't just losing because the other guys have bigger marketing budgets. They are losing because their own technical foundations are actively sabotaging them.
The source details these massive technical failures. It starts with the fact that these local businesses are almost always stuck on cheap, slow, shared hosting platforms.
Yeah, and we really need to look at the nuts and bolts of what shared hosting means in this context.
Right, so on a shared server, a local business's website is pooled alongside thousands of other random websites.
Just crammed in there.
Exactly. And if another site on that server experiences a sudden spike in traffic, the local plumber's server resources are drained. This leads to severe server-side queuing and a massive drop in time to first byte, or TTFB.
And the practical result of that bottleneck, according to the source, is load times that hover around 4 to 6 seconds. Now, I want to push back on that slightly.
Okay.
Because to a layperson, waiting 4 seconds doesn't sound like a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
I mean, are we really saying an entire local economy shifts just because of a 4-second latency?
In the modern digital landscape, absolutely. In fact, 4 seconds is a lifetime. You have to consider the context of the user. We are often talking about a homeowner in a crisis, a burst pipe, a broken heater in the middle of winter.
A leaking roof during a storm.
Right. They are searching on a mobile network, highly stressed. If the document object model takes 4 seconds to even begin rendering, user behavior metrics show that a massive percentage of those people will simply hit the back button before the page ever appears.
Just gone.
Gone.
And even if they do wait it out, the source explicitly points out that the Goliath Trap comes with severe mobile display errors. They hit this wall of text, overlapping elements, and broken buttons.
That is what the source refers to as a lack of mobile structural integrity. In 2026, search engines heavily penalize sites that suffer from cumulative layout shifts.
That's where the text and buttons sort of jump around as the page slowly loads, right?
Exactly. So if a panicked homeowner tries to click a Call Now button, but the page shifts and they accidentally click a blurry background image instead, the friction is just too high.
They abandon the site.
They abandon it and click the next result in the map pack, which of course happens to be the flawlessly loading enterprise-backed firm from Amarillo.
That scenario is exactly what TEXSEON calls the invisible lead.
The visible lead, yes.
The local tradesman never even knew that homeowner was looking for them. I mean, it was a guaranteed conversion, a local customer in desperate need of a service.
But because the underlying code of the website failed to render properly on a smartphone, the customer vanished.
Poof. And the term invisible lead is highly accurate because the local business owner checks their dashboard the next morning, sees no new inquiries, and assumes the market is just experiencing a slow period.
They don't realize their digital infrastructure is actively filtering out actual customers.
Which leads directly to the ultimate consequence of this. The text terms it the local leak.
Right.
Because these Pampa businesses are built on poor tech foundations, they are literally leaking localized leads out to their regional competitors.
Every single day they wait to upgrade their systems is another day a service truck from Amarillo pulls into a Pampa driveway.
And they aren't losing out on craftsmanship. They are bleeding revenue entirely due to a technological deficit.
It fundamentally changes how we view local competition. Your digital foundation is no longer just a digital brochure.
Yeah.
It is the primary filter through which your entire local market accesses your physical services. If that filter is broken, the leads simply flow around you to the path of least resistance.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because TEXSEON doesn't just outline this Goliath trap. They claim to have engineered the exact solution to counter it.
They call it the Equalizer.
The Equalizer. And the source is adamant that we shouldn't just think of the Equalizer as a website upgrade. They refer to it as a high-performance technical armor suite.
And that distinction is vital. Calling it a website implies a superficial aesthetic update.
Like changing the color scheme or updating a logo.
Right. The Equalizer is a complete structural overhaul.
Yeah.
They are entirely removing these local tradesmen from those bottlenecked shared hosting environments.
And migrating them natively onto Google Cloud Run. Let's pause on that for a second.
Okay.
Migrating a local Pampa plumber onto Google Cloud Run natively, that is the exact same enterprise-grade containerized infrastructure utilized by global multi-billion-dollar tech giants.
It is.
How does that practically change the performance for a small business?
It changes everything through containerization. Unlike a shared server where you are fighting for resources, Google Cloud Run uses stateless containers that can scale from 0 to handle a request in milliseconds.
Milliseconds.
Literally milliseconds. When that stressed homeowner clicks the link in the search results, the container spins up dedicated resources instantly. There is no server-side queuing.
Which is how TEXSEON claims the David strategy achieves these massive performance metrics. By ditching the shared server and using this Equalizer technical armor, they are dropping those 4 to 6 second wait times down to sub-2 second load times.
And that speed is paired with what the text calls a high-contrast UI and priority service lead forms.
Yeah, they're aggressively engineering the user experience to eliminate friction. I found the note on high-contrast UI particularly smart.
How so?
Well, usually when we look at web design trends, everything leans towards subtle, minimalist aesthetics.
Very, very clean.
But TEXSEON is optimizing for a crisis state. When you have water flooding your kitchen, you don't want a beautifully subtle, parallax scrolling web page.
You really don't.
You want a massive, unmissable, high-contrast button that says, "Get help now," and functions instantly on a mobile device.
It completely respects the cognitive load of the user. By providing that flawless, zero-friction experience in under 2 seconds, the local Pampa business instantly establishes trust and competence.
Because the user doesn't care that the Amarillo competitor has a larger corporate office.
No, they care that the Pampa business's digital front door opens smoothly and immediately when they needed it most.
Earning the user's trust is one thing, but the source makes a much bolder claim regarding the algorithm itself. There is an entire section dedicated to the psychology of the search engine.
Built around the phrase, Google trusts Google.
Yes. TEXSEON argues that by hosting these local businesses directly on Google Cloud Run, they are signaling to the search algorithm that the business is Google verified.
It's an interesting concept.
I have to ask, though, is there actual proof of that? It sounds a bit like a conspiracy theory to suggest that Google artificially boosts businesses just because they pay for Google's cloud hosting platform.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, we can see it isn't about algorithmic nepotism or some secret backdoor.
Okay.
It is entirely about infrastructure efficiency and what the industry calls crawl budget.
Crawl budget.
Right. Search engines use automated bots to continuously crawl and index the web. These bots only have a limited amount of time to spend deciphering any given website.
Because there are billions of sites.
Exactly. So if a local site is on a sluggish shared server, the Google bot hits friction. The connection times out, or the code is too messy to parse quickly, so the bot simply leaves before fully indexing the site's relevance to Pampa.
Oh, I see. So by putting the site natively on Google Cloud Run, it's not that Google is playing favorites, it's that the bot is crawling on its own native, perfectly paved highway.
That's a great way to put it.
There is zero packet loss, faster DNS resolution, and the bot can ingest the site's data without hitting any structural roadblocks.
Precisely. The text refers to this dynamic as zero friction ranking. You are giving the algorithmic crawler exactly what it wants, as fast as it can process it.
And speed is just one pillar of this strategy. The source outlines a fortress of other metrics required to maintain this digital armor. For example, they mandate 100% SSL health.
Which is critical. SSL, or Secure Sockets Layer, encrypts the data between the user and the server.
Right.
Many small businesses let their security certificates expire, or they implement them incorrectly. When that happens, the browser throws up a massive red, not secure warning.
Ah, that's the worst.
It immediately destroys user trust and causes a massive bounce rate, which in turn signals to the algorithm that the site is a poor result for that specific search query.
TEXSEON's Equalizer aims to make these local sites digital fortresses, ensuring that a user never encounters that friction. They also reiterate the need for total mobile structural integrity, which ties back to those cumulative layout shifts we discussed.
They're systematically hunting down and eliminating every single technical leak that could cause the robot to downrank the site or cause a user to bounce.
And all of this intense technical engineering serves one overarching goal according to the text: raising the business's panhandle domination score, or PDS.
Specifically to an 85 or higher.
Let's define the PDS, because it seems to be TEXSEON's proprietary metric for gauging the overall health of a local business's digital presence.
Right. The PDS essentially aggregates all of these technical signals: the sub-2-second load times, the SSL health, the mobile structural integrity, and the underlying cloud infrastructure.
All combined into one score.
Yes. The theory is that if you can push that combined score above an 85, you bridge the visibility gap.
Meaning you make it mathematically impossible for the Google algorithm to ignore the local Pampa experts?
Exactly.
Even if the invading Dumas and Amarillo firms have significantly larger offline marketing budgets, the local David wins the top spot in the map pack because they're providing a definitively superior technical experience to both the user and the crawler.
That is the absolute core of the David strategy. You don't outspend the Goliath. You out-engineer them at the foundational level.
So what does this all mean for the actual implementation?
That's the real test.
Right. If the tech is this sophisticated serverless containerization, core web vitals, API integrations, how does a digital agency actually sell this to a local roofer who just wants their phone to ring? Because the source gets quite aggressive when critiquing the traditional business model of digital marketing agencies.
It attacks the traditional agency model head-on. It describes standard marketing agencies as operating in the dark, relying on voodoo and a trust us mentality.
It's a justified criticism. A local tradesman pays a monthly retainer for SEO, and the agency just sends over a convoluted spreadsheet once a month filled with vanity metrics.
All while the tradesman blindly hopes it eventually translates to actual revenue.
Exactly. There is a massive disconnect between the technical actions taken and the observable business results.
TEXSEON counters that frustration by leaning heavily into a principle they call WYSIAYG.
What you see is what you get.
Yes, total transparency.
They power this transparency through a specific tool called the 5-Minute Local SEO Toolkit app. The source breaks this approach down into three distinct pillars.
First is the audit.
Right, they don't sugarcoat anything. They show the tradesmen exactly where their current digital armor is leaking, leads to Amarillo.
Second is the roadmap. They provide a highly specific 8-step blueprint to fix those exact leaks.
And the third pillar is the proof.
Because proof is the only way to overcome the inherent skepticism local businesses have toward digital marketers.
Yeah.
The text specifically highlights a roofer case study. They use hard, observable evidence to show the before and after metrics of a local roofing company moving from an invisible underdog to a market leader.
It's backing up their claims. They aren't asking for blind faith. They are presenting verifiable data.
And the actual execution of this pitch is fascinating.
It really is. They call it the 15-minute strategy call, or the war room briefing.
They recognize that a tradesman does not have the time or the patience to sit through a 2-hour slide presentation filled with tech jargon.
No. They strip the entire pitch down to 15 minutes of pure, actionable intelligence.
The structure of that war room briefing is incredibly efficient. According to the source, they start by identifying the bleeding.
They literally pull up the map pack gap and show the business owner the Amarillo firms sitting in the spots that should belong to them.
Then they pull back the curtain on the page speed failures of the local's current shared hosting website.
Next, they review that suppressed panhandle domination score we talked about, explaining exactly why the search algorithm is currently ignoring them.
But the real closer of this 15-minute call is the live demonstration.
Yeah, they unveil the Equalizer by showing a live demo of the tradesman's business already running on Google Cloud, physically proving the sub-2-second load speeds right there on the call.
This raises an important question.
Yeah.
Why is this hyper-compressed, data-driven approach so effective for this specific demographic?
It's a great question.
It is because it fundamentally respects the reality of the tradesman's day-to-day life. It discards the empty promises and the marketing voodoo and relies entirely on undeniable metrics.
Right.
When you can physically show a business owner the exact leak where they are bleeding revenue to a competitor and then immediately hand them the customized technical armor to plug that leak, it elevates the conversation.
It is no longer a sales pitch. It is a tactical briefing.
Exactly.
It's a brilliant way to bridge the gap between complex cloud architecture and local blue-collar realities. And this brings us perfectly to why this entire deep dive matters to you, the listener.
Because it applies everywhere.
It does. Even if you are not a plumber in Pampa fighting off an HVAC conglomerate from Amarillo, the underlying mechanics we've discussed apply across the board.
Yeah.
In our current digital ecosystem, your underlying technical foundation, your server response times, your security protocols, your mobile structural integrity is not secondary to your business.
No.
It is just as important as the actual physical product or service you are selling.
That is the crucial takeaway. You could be the most skilled craftsman in your entire state, but if your digital front door is broken if it takes 5 seconds to open, or if the handle falls off when a user tries to grab it on their smartphone, nobody is ever going to walk inside to see your work.
That's the harsh reality.
The battle for visibility isn't won by the company with the loudest billboard or the biggest ad spend. It is won by the business that builds a flawless, frictionless experience.
You have to cater simultaneously to the stressed human user who needs immediate functionality and to the search engine's automated robots that are constantly judging the efficiency of your underlying code.
Master both of those elements and you win the market.
It is entirely about stopping the local leak and suiting up in that enterprise-grade technical armor.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the hidden digital wars of local business. But before we wrap up today, I want to leave you with a final, lingering thought to explore on your own. If platforms like the Equalizer successfully democratize this level of enterprise technology, if they made it affordable and frictionless for every single local David to have flawless, lightning-fast Google Cloud architecture.
What becomes the new competitive advantage?
Exactly. When simply being fast and structurally perfect is no longer a special trait, but just the bare minimum required to enter the arena, how will local businesses differentiate themselves next? Think about it. We will catch you next time.